little fish, big fish swimming in the water. Come back here, man, give me my daughter.
First into capitalism and then eventually into communism in his, happy ending.
It sounds
Which
like it almost
we've
sounds
yet to
like
see.
James Burnham neocon. Actually, it's sort of
Well,
overlaps a little
James
bit.
Burnham was a Trotskyite. He's a Marxist,
Yeah,
or he was a Marxist.
it's kind of
To
like
me,
just
the best
embracing,
right-wing thinkers,
embracing kind of
best
global
right-wing thinkers are
managerialism.
former Marxists, I think.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, no. He was a brilliant guy, actually, Burnham.
Yeah,
Especially
very, very.
probably after he was a Trotskyite more, but he was the
I,
original neocon.
I read his book
Uh,
Yeah.
Suicide of the West, and this is
Even
a
before, no,
great book.
he wrote a
Yeah.
book just after World War II. I can't remember the name of it, but if you read the first paragraph, it's like he's a neocon. He's like America. The only good thing Americans do is manage things, and so now the job for America is to manage the world. We're
Is that the
managers, and we got to get out there. And
Machiavellians? That one?
no, that's a
That
brilliant book.
Yeah.
Uh,
There was
this
the
one is
managerial revolution, right?
no, not that one either.
Uh,
This is more about geopolitics. Let me look.
uh-huh.
yeah, it couldn't
He
be. It
wrote
couldn't
just
be
after.
a greater rebuke to isolationism or like the paleo-conservative streak.
Exactly.
This was a direct
It's the
rebuke to
absolute
that.
opposite.
Yeah.
Struggle for the world.
Hmm.
Well,
It
another
makes it
former Trotskyite became kind of neocon, Christopher Hitchens, famous Trotskyite who ended up, advocating for the Iraq War and, for that very reason to kind of save these, girls to get, young Muslim girls get into education. But I wonder if, the internet now provides a new kind of rural, if these like Discord servers or, whatever Groyper armies on 4chan are some kind of like rural, thing outside of the mainstream New York Times, Guardian view on the rest of humanity.
Yeah. Hitchens supported the Iraq War because he was so anti-fascist. That was.
I think there are sort of backwaters of the internet, aren't there? Really, kind of, where just weird beliefs kind of just prosper and thrive, and the the stuff that this Robinson was into. I don't know how much of it to believe, but they claim he was into some kind of furry porn game. Yeah, so that he was, and some of the stuff on the bullets references this. So there were just some kind of really bizarre things he was into, but I think a lot of the normies are getting into these weird things. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
kind of frightening thing. Yeah,
I mean, like
normies are not
the
normal anymore.
people who,
There's a
you know,
generational divide. We don't understand this stuff, and so I
No,
don't. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it. I don't. I just can't
yeah,
understand it. I don't know.
I don't get it on
furries, furries
the
have a lot of
sexual
fans.
dimension. Yeah.
Furries have a lot of fans in like tech circles, like the Bay Area. Um, Effective altruists, people like that. Some of them are into being furries. So whether it's Utah or some glass building in Silicon Valley, this stuff is becoming more normalized.
I just think of that woman Ayala. Yeah, when somebody mentions the Bay Area, I just think she's like the presiding spirit of that whole
Yeah,
thing. It's just kind of.
She's from the Bay Area. I didn't even
yeah.
know that.
I don't think is she from it, but she's
I don't know if
definitely
she's from
kind of
it, but
been part of it. Yeah, a big
she
Was
part of
she
it.
not
She's
still
there
based in
now.
reported a
Berkeley.
Mormon
I'm pretty
or
sure she's based in
something?
Berkeley.
Another
She's,
Mormon, like Robinson.
I
Yeah.
think she was probably possibly abused as a child, but she first came to prominence, as far as I'm concerned, on Slate Star Codex. Scott Alexander wrote a blog post about her taking massive doses of LSD as a way of, like, I don't know, having a new perspective on reality, some therapy, and
Yeah.
and she wrote this kind of blog post about taking LSD every day for 90 days and what it did to her. So I don't know how much of her subsequent career as a cam girl is because her, inhibitions were taken down by the psychedelics.
She's the ultimate, debauchery sane washer or something, because like she's just from the LSD to the sex work. She couples that with being very intelligent, quite kind actually, and successful in life. But for most people thinking of taking tons of LSD or becoming a cam girl, I don't think you're going to find yourself rubbing shoulders with venture capitalists and stuff. So it.
Although, just one quick point on sex workers. I listened to an interview with Bonnie Blue, who's
Oh,
become notorious in the UK for sleeping with 1,000 men in
oh
one
yeah.
day. But the interview with her, she made it sound like she was Jesus washing the feet of the poor. Like everything she said, she was just, oh, I'm purely doing it through empathy for these men who need some kind of release. She never she seemed to do it in this kind of like bizarrely empathetic way.
I think maybe that's to appeal to leftists because they're really the only people who approve of this, I think, right?
Yeah.
So,
It's very, very Mother
um,
Teresa. Yeah.
yeah, and the
Funny
fact that
though,
she's,
is like
yeah,
the right promote her on Twitter. Is she's everywhere. Everyone's always kind of denouncing her, but when you denounce her by putting a video up, you're promoting her. It's
Yeah.
like, damn, I don't want. I'm sick of this
Oh, that
woman. I don't want to hear
that's
about her.
that generalizes. I mean, we do that with everything. It's like, when we call out
Yeah.
this person, we're signal boosting them. It's basically inescapable. Um,
yeah,
This new Charlie Kirk guy, the Rylan or something. I don't even know how to say his name. There's
the
this new
clone,
fresh
yeah,
young Charlie Kirk. He's everywhere now. Just like, oh my, where'd this
really,
guy come
I
it's
think
from?
I
weird,
missed
isn't it?
that.
And nobody had heard of him before.
Ne-
Yeah, it's just
Never
I
even
it
heard
see.
seemed
that
I
like
name
just see
before.
people
Eric.
It's
I
so
see
saying
weird,
he's
isn't
Erica
it?
Kirk. I see Erica Kirk
grown
going
in
around.
grown in a vat, and suddenly released
Yeah.
on the world. Yeah,
So I'm sorry.
it's very
There's
odd.
sir. There's a new like Kirk in the work.
He even looks like him quite a bit. Yeah,
They
his
already
face
they
is
brought the new
similar.
product out. There's a
Yeah,
hilarious video of Netanyahu and Ben Shapiro, kind of like they have a robot and they put some electric charge on him, and then this dude comes out. They're
I
like,
saw that
"Great,
one.
here's our
Yeah,
new product."
for
It's really
controlling the
funny, actually.
narrative, right? That was
Yeah,
yeah,
he's gonna push our narrative. Yes, yes, he's gonna push our narrative or whatever.
yeah. It
Yeah,
is
it's this
quite.
young, fresh face.
Mhm.
Right, there was a little bit of a
He's not,
Kirkfuffle around apparent pressure from Israel to keep up a certain line on that. Um, to even go in that direction in a conversation can get you smacked with anti-Semitism. But I hear Breaking Points is talking about it, and I don't think they're anti-Semitic or some kind of far right. But
I've
yeah, so
talked
that's
about it. Yeah.
speculative. But it sounds like this new product might be uh,
He'll
consistently.
have no problem. He won't. Kirk had a lot of issues because he's getting hammered. His job was to sell kind of boomer conservatism to the young, to the Zoomers, and they'd been red pilled by Fuentes, and so they're not buying his stuff. So he was under a lot of pressure. If he to keep his to maintain his his credibility, he couldn't just be kind of a Zionist puppet. He had to like show a little bit of backbone, but if he showed too much, he was angering his sponsors. So it's like a salesman. You have to kind of connect with your customers, but you can't stab in the back the
Yeah.
management. So that
You know,
was
I
He's
wonder
in
what
basically
quite a
it.
percentage.
difficult
I wonder
position,
what
really.
percentage of the
Yeah.
people that he was, arguing with on these college campuses, how many of them were coming from his right rather than his left? Maybe 1 in 10, 1 in 20, something less than
Well,
that.
okay, he didn't. That's the only ones he cared about, though. The left, he wasn't gonna convert like transgender people to the GOP. But he was trying to get people, like right or to keep them in the GOP or whatever, or maybe to get some moderates to come over. But being young, they don't want this boring conservative stuff. They want something more radical because also they're not happy about what's happening in Gaza, obviously. And so he's just kind of like their father basically talking to them, and they wanted something more radical, which is more the Fuentes line.
One quick thing,
Okay.
I'm going to have to dash off to pick up my wife
Oh yeah.
from
Okay.
the station. But if anyone, it's going to close down. But if anyone can tell me more photographers that are in the parallax test, in the parallax view, which I think is one of the great
Oh.
scenes in cinema,
Yeah.
do let me know. I'm
It's a
trying to like.
little
I,
repetitious though.
well, that's the nature of the test, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because
To
they had these categories: home, God, country, and then they show these images, and then eventually the categories and the images were just completely interchangeable. It didn't line up in any particular.
Well, I think that was like to confuse the unconscious, to to
Yeah.
see how he would react and if he's sociopathic enough to become an assassin.
Take care, Neil.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
Great
we'll
to
find out who
see
that
you guys.
Nice to see you, Neil.
photographer was,
Good to
and
see you
then
again, Paul.
take
See you
care.
soon.
Thanks a
See you
lot.
soon,
You
Dane.
too.
Thanks, Dane.
Yeah. I see there's been another shooting in America, in Michigan. Yeah.
Oh,
It seems like
shocked.
when it seems like it was at a Mormon church.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a
My
fire.
guess is that this is a guess that it's an internal conflict with it. It's a Mormon church. So I have a feeling it's something like that.
Mhm.
Just because of the location, it doesn't have like kind of terrorist value. It doesn't have symbolic value. It's more like something that would happen internally. And in those churches, you can get some really strong feelings. Apparently, it was an Iraq war veteran, so he might have been unstable to start with, and just kind of
Yeah.
lost it. That's my guess. I haven't.
Yeah, oftentimes when these things happen to some kind of house of worship, it's coming from inside the house, so to speak.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
remember a mosque attack that came from a disgruntled former attendee of that mosque, and then there was a synagogue that turned out to be a hoax perpetrated by an angry, unstable Jewish person, something like that. So these things happen.
yeah, it can happen. Something like that. So, yeah, I remember it kind of reminds me a little bit like when the Oklahoma City shooting happened. Someone was saying, "Oh, that's Islamic terrorists," and I was like, "There's no Islamic terrorist going to blow up something in Oklahoma City. They never heard of that place. It's
Yeah.
gonna be give them nothing, you know." And in fact, it was kind of local. I guess I don't even know the story of it.
You know, on the BBC, they've got this live,
They
coverage of this, and one of the headlines here is "What we know and do not know," which is very Rumsfeldian, I think. Yeah, the known knowns, unknown
That's
knowns.
absolutely worthless thing to say.
Yeah.
It
Why
gets it
don't why
gets some
not just
takes and
what we know?
but before we run out of time, it gets too late. Neil actually was too bad Neil's gone, I guess, because he was interested in your geopolitical takes here, Kevin. But I wanted to speak to the some kind of Russian action which involved Poland. They crossed over into to where you're at, Paul. What's the
Right.
feeling there?
Yeah.
And yeah,
What's the feeling? Well, people not pleased, obviously. Pretty worried about it, I think. Oh, there were different theories, though, that some people thought it might be a false flag, kind of organized by Ukraine,
it was drones, was it not?
because yeah, one of the drones was a bit suspicious because they were shot down, and apparently there was on one of the drones there was just some kind of sticky tape, as if it had been kind of patched up after being damaged and captured before some earlier time. So that was a bit odd, but yeah, I mean, people were. It was about 2 weeks ago now, yeah, and just before the Charlie Kirk shooting, in fact. So almost 3 weeks ago. Yeah, people were a bit shocked by it, I think, because it kind of happened out of the blue and involved. But I think it's not completely new. I mean, Kevin would know, but there have been some drones, kind of drone incursions into. But it's the first time they've been shot down. That's something new. Yeah.
Okay. Yes,
So
there have been sometimes Russia would send the drones a little bit into Poland and then come back into Ukraine and hit something in Lviv or whatever, however you say that.
Hmm.
So they would do incursions every now and then, more tactical. Maybe they were testing things. Whether they did this one is very iffy. I can't say yes or no. There, Ukraine has a very strong motive to. The only way Ukraine's going to win is to get NATO, and when I say NATO, I mean America, involved in this war. And so none of the drones attacked anything. They didn't hit anything. They kind of just ran out of gas or whatever. And some of them flew through Belarus as well. And so it was all extremely strange. I, it's very hard to know who did it, but it's also been like this campaign of drones now, like in Denmark and Germany, and everyone immediately jumps to it's Russia, which is always possible. But what it reminds me of is the Charlie Kirk shooting, where everyone, or not everyone, but a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Israel did it. Israel, it's Israel," and there's all these conspiracy theories that Israel did it. And so in Lacan or Zizek, there's the big other. There's the big evil one who does all the conspiracies, who's to blame for everything. It's a way of organizing your life, also organizing the people for their reactions. And so it seems like I mean, it's possible Russia's doing it. I don't really think it's possible Israel shot Charlie Kirk, but whatever.
I mean, Israel
But it's
is so
also
upset with Europe recognizing a Palestinian state that they want to send drones over there.
no.
Yeah,
I don't think that at all. No.
yeah,
Either Ukraine plus forces within NATO are doing it in order to convince the population, like a Gulf of Tonkin incident,
yeah.
basically, kind of a provocation. But the problem is they can't do anything. They have to convince Trump to do it. And so Trump did a little clever thing last week, and he doesn't do many clever things, but he basically said, "Oh yeah, you guys are winning. You can win. You guys are going to win. Yes, and we're going to sell you weapons. But you guys go get them, Tiger. Go get them. Take back Crimea. You could even march into Russia." He's basically being sarcastic and saying instead of being realistic, he's just going to be like crazy and say, "Oh yeah, you could do it." I'm not. Why should he be the reality guy? And so and then suddenly that puts the Europeans and Ukrainians on the back foot, saying, "Well, wait a minute," because they know they can't do anything
Yeah.
unless America comes in. And I don't see America getting involved in this, especially with his priority is always going to be Israel and Iran, and so you know then there's another level where they want. There's also a political level. The Ukraine and the Europeans want Democrats back in power. It's easy to understand why they would want that. So if he doesn't go to war, they would at least like to pressure him into doing sanctions that hurt the economy, the American economy, so that
Yeah.
undermine his support on the right. And there's kind of a political game going on as well. And so far, he's kind of, you know, holding his own to some extent. He's staying out of it just enough that but he also doesn't want to look weak. He wants to look strong. That's why he's adopted this new persona of like, oh yeah, Ukraine can win
Yeah.
with Europe. Go do it.
Yeah. He didn't. Trump has not been the big Russia booster people predicted he'd be. I mean, you could suppose he is in a backhanded way by getting into that very vocally skirmish with Zelensky, and now I guess sort of trolling them somehow, somewhat, and but he's been chiding India for buying oil from Russia, and he seems to be creating some tensions with that country in particular because of Russia. He's been taking jabs at Putin recently, and so I don't see him as being the Russian asset that everyone claimed Trump was not long ago.
Yeah, I think that was nonsense, wasn't it? I think it was a kind of charm offensive that he tried just after, he began his second term. He wanted to sort of charm Putin into signing peace agreement. Didn't work. and now he's just,
As if that's
kind
going to
of,
work, but that's exactly what he
yeah,
was doing.
yeah.
You're my buddy
Um,
now. We're friends now. Give me a good deal.
he was just
Yeah.
using his tried and tested approach, yeah, from his business days, I think. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
part of the deal, right? But no, it didn't work in this case, and now he's quite, yeah, he seems to be quite, anti-Putin, um, which you would expect, really, since they are enemies. So, um, and now he's become quite positive about Zelensky. Yeah, he's a brave man, or it's a brave little guy or something. Said something like this.
Yeah, so well, that wouldn't count. He says brave little guy. Please, we'll call him the brave little
So
toaster.
he's becoming a
Um,
smarter politician uh, by taking that tact. That's
Yeah.
it's a smart way to do it because he can defend it because he can give him words, but don't send any troops. That's where and he'll sell him weapons, but
Yeah.
you know, um,
Now there's
I
noise
think he'll
about
just push.
invading. What you have any thoughts on the Venezuela situation? Do you think Trump is planning some kind of regime change or what?
At least 4 or 5 years ago, I was talking to a friend, and I was like, I could see geopolitically America was going to fall back to North America, and the biggest move that made sense was to invade Venezuela, not from a moral sense or from anything, just geopolitically. It's like all that those oil reserves is just sitting there waiting to be taken, and so I don't know if he has the balls to do it, but geopolitically, it makes a lot of sense. It could end up being like another Vietnam. If I were China and Russia, I would like send arms in there and make it's his own Ukraine. It's a huge country, and so it's not, and they're fighters, those guys, and so it's not going to be easy. But geopolitically, if he wants to fall back to America, the type of oil they have is perfect for American refineries, and so um, it makes sense. And so South America would start to become like the Cold War battlefield, because Eurasia and Africa and everything will be with the Chinese Russian part, and America will have Greenland, Canada, Mexico, all that. And so where that southern boundary finally ends up, and they're holding on to Argentina now. They're going into crisis. And so, whereas China's strong in Brazil, my son is in Peru right now, so they're pretty strong in Peru. But he sees like American influencers coming in, and so America's starting to see South America, I think, as a potential battlefield if they fall back to North America,
Yeah, well,
which I
that
think
that
is
dominance of the Western Hemisphere was, that was a geopolitical route could have taken at one time, just kind of trying to just maintain dominance only in your backyard, so to speak. Um, but yeah, it's interesting what you say about China and Africa. There was a recent like data center build out plan with Microsoft in Kenya, which was scrapped because they think Kenyans don't really have the consumer power to warrant it actually. But you know, China is doing all kinds of infrastructure in Kenya, and this was the one effort by Americans to get a foothold there, and they backed out. So yeah, I think China is winning Africa's hearts, and I don't know what America's doing apart from this Microsoft thing that's going on.
the West in general is losing in Africa. They're slowly getting pushed out by the Russians militarily and the Chinese business wise investment. Because the Chinese don't have to like necessarily make money; they can invest for geopolitical reasons, whereas American companies kind of want to profit. They're not, and so China has a bit of an advantage there. And so yeah, I mean, the one thing that would hold America back from falling back to North America is Israel, and so he would like to somehow resolve that. Um, and then when America falls back, say they do this, all of a sudden, all the unity, the BRICS, they're against America, so they're unified against the one big other, basically. And so once America falls back, all of a sudden they'll start looking at each other like, oh, there'll be tensions and cracks between in their alliance, and then say in 20 years, America can step back up once it rebuilds its power, manufacturing power, or rare earths. It has to somehow become self-sufficient or have strong deal. It relies on China way too much right now for any kind of stability.
As far as America's involvement in the Middle East, you claim that it's primarily because of Israel. I mean, would a relationship with Saudi Arabia and they're not only do they have oil, although it's not as important as it used to be,
It's not
as
that
far as I know,
important.
they're also becoming a kind of AI powerhouse, a regional hub for that. And I think that's another way.
UAE
Yeah,
as well. But all those are things you don't need a military, but those are relationships. I mean, Saudi Arabia, they want to put in every camp. I mean, they don't want to just fall in with just with Russia and China. They want to be close to them, but as long as America's in the Middle East, they're interested in some kind of relationship. But right now, I think with Qatar, and the balance is starting to get a little out of whack, where they can't really trust America anymore. And so I don't know if they ever really could, but and so yeah, maybe this is Israel's making this big push. But I mean, then Iran's always going to be a problem. I mean, and so that's not going away, Iran, and I don't see any victory in the works for Israel or America over Iran. So
yeah.
Have you two heard about this meeting that the Secretary of War Hegseth has called? He summoned all the top generals, I think, to the Pentagon. I think it's happening next week, in the coming week now.
yeah, yeah.
And there's a lot of speculation about what it's about.
Right. Is that the
Is it
meeting that he basically told the press they're not invited to unless they want to, follow certain guidelines? And
is that right? I don't know. It's
yeah, NPR told me that, but it's NPR. Maybe it's just because they're not invited or something. But
The first thing I thought of was that James Bond movie. Is it like Goldfinger or something, where the bad guy they invite all the heads, he shoot half of them or something,
so
or
Spectre.
like Stalin. But if he invited all his generals, half of them would die. I'm sure
Right,
it's not like that.
right. So I wonder
Who
what it's
knows?
about. I mean, I guess by the time this goes out, is uploaded, maybe the world will know what that was about. But
His
um,
he's there to recruit Hegseth. He's like a recruiting icon. He's not there for his brains or anything.
right,
Uh, he's there to create a tough macho image so right coded young men will join the military, because for a decade or so they went left. They were trying to get left coded men, and that didn't really work out so well. And so his job is to talk to the fathers of these, because it's kind of the fathers who decide. So he has this tough, he kind of overlaps Christianity and warrior ethics,
yeah,
which one could argue about whether that's appropriate or
yeah,
not, but
it's
he
stuff like
does
that.
it.
We jump down the left's throats when they say things like Christian nationalism and Handmaid's Tale and all that. Handmaid's Tale is still ridiculous, but Christian nationalism. I mean, stuff like that doesn't help. It really does seem like that's what they're doing at times.
I think
I've
so.
been
Yeah, I
studying
think
like
there are signs
Christian
of that.
nationalism.
Yeah, there are signs of that. I mean, it could. I mean, the BAP has been posting about this. Yeah, the Bronze Age pervert, that he thinks the right, the American right in the future is going to be more and more religious. And of course, he's opposed to that, right? He's the secular right, and he thinks secular right should lead. But he does. I don't think he believes that that's going to happen. And you look at people like Vance, talking about putting on the armor of God. But it's kind of funny, the context. He's putting on the armor of God to phone up employers to inform them that their employees are being nasty
Yeah.
about Charlie Kirk. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I mean
um,
the
Always have
obvious 180 on all that stuff is just ridiculous. And now the right, of course, is having kind of the realist right is saying, of course we're flip-flopping. That's how politics goes. That's how you win. I mean, uh,
right.
if that's the case, I wish they could just drop the entire pretense of free speech
Yeah.
entirely and just say I'm against this speech because it's from the fucking left.
they're dropping the free speech thing. I posted about that, about the irony, and a lot of the riotoids were really angry, American riotoids, including Zero HP Lovecraft. Although we've had quite a few conversations in the past, and I think he sort of respects me. But he's prepared to talk and discuss the issues, not just throw insults like most of them. But
There
but
has
yeah,
to
he
be
was
some
kind of
right.
saying,
There's got to be some right wingers out there who have been saying all along that they're against speech from the left, specifically, and that
Yes,
they don't adhere to free speech principles.
no, that's
So
true. I think
the guy,
oddly, it's hard to
Mhm.
think of.
this guy fisted by Foucault,
Oh,
Mhm.
always says that. He's
oh yeah,
really
he's
funny. I actually met him. He's a nice guy. I wrote a couple years ago on a right-coded blog. I was like, free speech. I was like, you guys don't believe in free speech. You don't believe it for a second. All it signals when you ask for free speech is that you're out of power. As soon as people in power always control speech. And personally, I'm for free speech. I would be
yeah,
like a
I am too,
because
which is why
I would never be in power, so I don't have to worry about
right.
it.
And so I increasingly
But
just call
when
I just call myself liberal. I write liberal, but liberal, and I put liberal first. I'll say liberal right instead of right liberal in order to highlight
if you
that,
go back
right?
to Ronald Reagan in the 60s, he fired Angela Davis for being a communist college professor. And then he also jailed his Republican challenger. Maybe it was a Democrat. He put him in jail for a governor's election. Something, James Lindsay, I don't remember. He was an LSD guy or
James
whatever.
Lindsay.
And so he had worked with John Lennon or something.
James
But
Lindsay.
so when the right had power, they controlled speech.
It wasn't Leary,
And
was it?
so
Timothy Leary.
might have been. I don't know.
He was the
I'll have to
LSD
look
guy.
it
Yeah.
up.
Lindsay is
I was just thinking,
the everything is Gnostic guy, right? Everything is woke and
I'll have to
Gnostic.
look it up. But they definitely, and what's interesting about Angela Davis is that she was a proper communist in the sense she wasn't for black power or anything like that, and so she used to lecture the Black Panthers and stuff. It's like drop all that racial stuff, get with the workers,
Right.
So maybe they saw that as more dangerous. I don't
But
know.
her
I believe
involvement in that
I think she's still
murder
alive and
was,
living in
yeah.
the Oakland Hills or the Berkeley Hills, I think, Angela Davis. I believe
But
she's still alive.
most
Yeah.
libs don't know what she was involved in, right? I mean, I think Curtis Yarvin posted about this, right, in the past couple of weeks, that there was a murder of a judge, right? When
Yes,
they, yeah.
she might have given weapons to somebody, like
Mhm.
her cousin or something, some kind of relative, and yes, so it's quite possible she was guilty. There's some gray area there,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's
So
one thing. If she should have been convicted, she should have been convicted. That's a different thing than firing her for being a communist. She
yeah,
studied in East Germany, within the Frankfurt School, and so she was actually something of an intellectual. I don't know. I
Oh
don't know
yeah,
if she ever
I would
produced
never
anything.
deny
Maybe
that.
she was just a symbol. Um,
all right,
Someone
fellas.
like
I better
someone like
push off as
Eldridge
well now.
Cleaver. I would say Eldridge Cleaver is probably not a proper intellectual, but Angela Davis is.
no, no, she studied under Marcuse, and so
Yeah.
he had this whole idea. I mean, he kind of destroyed the kind of working class left and made a bourgeois kind of uh, minority kind of left. So that's what we
Minoritarian.
have now, basically.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
minoritarian is a kind of good term to use here because it goes beyond racial minority into just some sort of counterculture, malcontent. Um,
You,
in that way, even um, wait, who is the Skoke's monkey trial guy? Who was the one who was taking the piss out of all of the yokels? Who was that writer? Walter Lippmann?
Clarence. Oh, it could be.
Oh, H.L. Menkel. H.L. Menkel. H.L.
Well,
Menkel.
all right.
There was a pretty good
Hmm.
piece by Eric Kaufman. I don't know if you know that guy. I think like Canadian. He said that this kind of anti-populist focus on minoritarian concerns and this kind of bourgeois direction of left as sort of limousine liberal, or it kind of started under him, or there's a through line that includes H.L. Mencken, who is actually, sort of paleo-conservative and kind of a elitist individualist type. And he said that that's not entirely on the heads of the left, this minoritarian focus and anti-populism.
Well, something important about minoritarianism we always forget is that the rich are minorities. And in the Federalist Papers, there's a little quote say we have to protect minorities, and when they meant the wealthy. And so there's always a double game where the minorities there's like a oppressed minority and the power minority, which you could say are masters. And so there's this double meaning of minority. But now when we hear minority, we think the oppressed minority. We don't ever think that it's the ruling class. The 1%, is obviously a minority.
I have to correct myself. I have to correct myself. H.L. Mencken, not Mencken. Sorry, just for anyone who might listen outside this conversation.
No, he was a great writer. I have to.
Right.
Gilles Deleuze, a French postmodern philosopher, came up with a whole minoritarian kind of idea that he only had minor and major, and I always object. There has to be master as well. Master, major, minor, and then it makes sense.
All right, I gotta say good night, fellas.
Yeah, it's been 90 minutes at this point.
Yes,
so
great.
Let's
wrap it up.
Great talking to you again.
Yeah, it was cool.
Thanks for staying up.
Okay, thanks a lot, Dane.
Kevin.
Kevin. Cheers.
Bye.
See you. Bye.
Yeah, bye.